नमस्कारः स्वागतम् अद्य स्थिरवासरः शनिवासरः. Today is the Saturday, दिनाङ्कः 28 This is 28th of January. प्रथमो भागः, so the first part, which is Vyakaranam. We're doing the lit prakaranam, Tinganda prakaranam. Let's do the Mangalacharanam. Ramo Rajamanis Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramenabhiyata Nishacharachamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha Raman Nasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Rasvasmiyaham Rame Chittale Sada Bhautame Bho Ramamamuddhara Rama Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Ramanama Varanane Shri Ramanama Varanana Ondama Iti Atha Shri Maheshwara Sutrani A I Urn Rul Ruk E Ong I Ouch Haya Varat Lan Nyam Ng Nam Jaban Gadadash Jaba Gadadash Kapa Cha Cha Tsa Cha Cha Tsav Kapai Sha Sha Sar Hal Iti Maheshwara Sutrani. Again, today is the 28th of January, Saturday. It's the grammar section. Usual announcements is, first of all, thanks to Ravi for being there every time to record the class. Thanks to him, the class is going on. And also thanks to Kumud and Radha and others, Yulia, who are helping with the daily examples, which you come to every day. That's the backbone of the class, because we can only have the class twice a month. And so the daily examples are really the ones that you want to pay the attention to. This you practice abhyasena griyate. The usual announcement is that anything we say in the class is only pending confirmation from Kaumudi or Kashika. So, and of course, if you know any errors, let us know. We'll make the corrections. Okay, so with that, let us start. Last time you're looking at some important sutram, which we got many examples of that in the last couple of weeks, which is 64120. Ata ekahal madhyen adesh ader liti. So we got, for example, here we have an example of petuhu. She got the daily example on the 27th. So we have been applying that sutram, and the conditions for that sutram to apply were that we should have a akaraha, which is preceded and followed by single conjunct. Single means non-conjunct consonant. So ekahal madhye. Angam should be followed by lit pratyaya, which is kit, and in the place of the first letter there should be no adeshaha. Lin nimitta adesha, lin nimittakaha adesha. So there should be no adesha based on the lit pratyaya on the first letter. So those were the conditions of applying 64120, and we saw that in detail in the last class and plenty of examples. So that's, and when all these conditions are met, then there is abhyasa lopa and etvam. In place of the akara, we get the ekara adesha and abhyasa lopa. So if you want to quickly look at this example here, which we did last time, petuhu. So we had pat plus lit, anubandha lopa as usual. Then we're looking at pratham purusha bhavachanam, and we got pratyajji by tiptajji. These are always the first three steps. Lakaraha, anubandha lopaha, tiptajji, and then lakara sambandhi karyam. In this case, prasnapadanam nal atus us. So the us adesha came. And of course anekachi sarvasya, and then because of navibhakto to smaha, the sakara doesn't get the it sanya. Then we did abhyasa karyam by liti dhaturanabhyasasya, and then haladi sheshaha. After that we have pa pat us. So now we can check all the conditions. We have an akara here, letter a, which is sandwiched between two non-conjunct consonants, and the us pratyay also kit because of asanyoga like kit. So now you know why the sutra is so important. When Panini labels something as a kit or a git, that has many ramifications. So 1 to 5, I'm sorry, asanyoga like kit 1 to 5, and then after that we get the abhyasa lopa etvam. Now today what you're going to see is that we're going to see a couple of more rules in that section. That section actually goes from 64120 to 64126 Sapta Sutrani, and Shat Vidhi Sutrani Eko Nishedha. One Nishedha is there, and there are 6 rules, which of course 64120 is the main rule, Then there are some more down here which extend that to other cases, and 64126 is the negation, which doesn't apply. So let's look at a couple of these. So I always try to, one thing in this class we emphasize all the time is try to know where in the Ashtadhyaya you are. It's very important to understand that, because that is the key to learning grammar. So this we are in the Angasyadhikaraha, but we are not in the Bhasyadhikara, because Bhasyadhikara only starts from 64129. So we are not in the Bhasyadhikara, of course, because Bhasya, Angam gets the Bhasanya only by Yachibham, and that is Swadishvasaranamasthane. Right now we're not adding a Swadi Pratyaya at all. So of course we're not in the Bhasyadhikara, which is before that. So we are from 6420 to 64126. And of course we'll not be taking every sutram in the class, but that's the section. Okay, so the first sutram, let's look at now 64126. It says no. So no means this is Nisheda Sutram. Nisheda Sutram. So Praptasya Nishedaha. Praptasya Nisheda means 64120 would have been applicable. In these cases, it's now being stopped by 64126. So when you see the na shabda in a sutram, the negation, generally speaking, it is a nisheda sutram. It is stopping some other rule from applying. It's called a nisheda sutram, as opposed to apavadaha. Apavada is an exception. It will give another operation, in place of something which is coming. But nisheda only stops an operation. It doesn't give an alternate operation. It only stops whatever was coming, and then whatever is appropriate will proceed after that. So Nisheda Sutram only stops another Sutram from applying. So this 64126, from the number itself you can guess, it's a Nisheda Sutram for 64120. What does it say? Na shasa the vadi gunanam. Said to you many times, the thing which you want to do all the time is repeat upon the Sutram, the words of Panini. Even if you don't understand what they mean exactly, they'll come to you slowly. With practice, they'll come to you. Na sha sa the vadi gunanam. Look at the next thing. Look at the vritti. It says shasehe dadehe. So shaser dader vakaradinam gunashabdena vihito yokaraha tasya etva bhyasa lopo na. So now you see this is a nishedha for 64120. It says etva bhyasa lopo no. The two operations which have been prescribed by 64120 are not going to take place for these items. Which are these? This is dhatu shas, dhatu dad, and then any vakaradi dhatu, and also gunashabdena vihito yo akaraha. If a akaraha comes through an operation, a guna operation, then that also doesn't qualify for 64120. We're going to see an example of that very shortly. So this example of gunashabdena vihito yo akaraha, we're going to see the example down here. So we're going to see it very shortly. But the other ones are that when the lit pratyaya follows, guna substitution, I'm sorry. Okay, a akaraha which is prescribed using the term gunaha. So there's the guna shabdena vihitaha. So the akara, if it comes by an operation which is specifically prescribed using the guna shabda, okay, and the akara of the verbal roots shasu himsayam, dada dane vadiganaha, as well as of that of a verbal root which begins with a vakaraha, they shall not be subject to 64120, which is the etam abhyasa lopaha. Take a quick example. If you take dhatu vam, udgarane, vam is to vomit. So vam is Sanskritam is same as the vomit in English. So vam is to vomit. If you take this dhatu vam, now it would have followed the same steps as we did for pat dhatu. Not really. So the form would have been vemuhu in the prathama purusha bahuvachanam. Instead, because it's a vakaradi dhatu, and 64126 says that vadi. So if a vakaradi dhatu, so vakaradinam etva abhyasa lopo na bhavati, na bhavataha. So the etva and abhyasa lopo, they do not apply for a vakaradi dhatu. So rather than becoming like petu, it would have become vemuhu. Instead, it does not take the abhyasa lopa. So we come to this point, and then we get the form vavamuhu, vavamuhu. So the vavamuhu, in all the conditions for applying 64120 are satisfied. But because of the negation which is done by 64126, we don't apply 64120. So this 64126 is a Nisheda Sutram. It's a prohibition of 64120 in these four cases: for the dhatu shas, dhatu dad, and for any dhatu beginning with a vakaraha, and if a akara comes through a guna operation, an operation which is prescribed using the word guna shabdena vihita, then that also will not qualify for 64120 application. That's what this sutram says. There's one more little subtle point over here. Let's take the dhatu dad, for example. Now when we'll follow the same steps as we did over here for dhatu pat, we'll get the same form. So I didn't put all the steps again. But now the question comes is that by abhyase charcha says what? That, you know, in place of the jal of the abhyasaha, we get the charra adesha. So abhyase charcha, let's look at abhyase charcha for 1 second. That's 8454. There is one subtle implication of 64126 I'm trying to point out right now, is that implies something. So what is that? Let's see abhyase charcha. Let's look at 8454 abhyase charcha. It says that abhyase jalam charaha sihu jashascha. So basically in the abhyasa bhagaha, a mahaprana becomes alpa prana. So the jal becomes either the char prathama varnaha or the char prathama varnaha or the jash tritiya varnaha. So it goes to the column 1 or column 3 of the Vargiya matrix, the 5 by 5 matrix. So the kaka gagha cha 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 na. So it will go to in abhyasaha. You will get either the prathama varnaha char or the tritiya varnaha jash. And of course then shashasar also is there. Now if you look at the dhatu, so in short, in the abhyasaha, we get a alpa prana. Now if you look at the dhatu dad, okay, now 64126 is making a negation, saying that dad will not be eligible for 64120. But now one can say that, wait a minute, in the dhatu dad, we are let's remember, one of the conditions of applying 64120 is that in place of the first letter of the angam, there is no adesha that is based on lit pratyaya. Now when you do the abhyasa for dad, it becomes dad, and of course haladi shesha becomes dad. Now by abhyasa charcha, we will substitute a dakara in place of dakaraha. Understand? Because abhyasa charcha, you have to substitute either the char letter or the jash letter. So column 1 or column 3, we have a dakaraha. It's already column 3. Dakar jabagada dash. So dakar is already a jash letter. But someone can argue, in the place of dakara, I'll put a dakara again. Now does that disqualify a dhatu from 64120? Okay, let me repeat one more time. One of the conditions of applying 64120 is that in place of the first letter of the angam, there is no adesha based on the lit affix. Now if we take el dhatu dad, and then if we say that in the place of dakara, a dakara comes in again by abhyasa charcha, doesn't that already disqualify dad from applying 64120? It does not, because if dad was already disqualified, there was no need for Panini to say, in the case of dad, don't apply 64120. The fact that this is the Nyapakam, the fact that Panini is saying that dad does not qualify for 64120, which means that before it had qualified. If Panini had not said this, it was qualifying. That means that if by abhyasa charcha, if you put the same letter in place of the same letter, that does not disqualify dhatu from 64120. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying is that. One more time. The Nyapakam is like this. That Panini is saying that dad does not qualify for 64120. Which means that if this were not to be said, then dad was qualifying before, obviously. Because if it's already disqualified already, there's no point in disqualifying it again. The fact that Panini has to specifically disqualify dad means that it was otherwise qualifying. And in dad, in the place of dakara, we are making a dakara adesha by abhyasa charcha. So what Panini is saying is that, what Panini implies is that if you make a same letter substitution, that does not disqualify dhatu from 64120, because otherwise dad would have been disqualified already. If you make a same letter substitution, that does not disqualify dhatu from 64120. We understand that because Panini has made a special effort to specifically disqualify dad. There was no need to do that if a same letter substitution was disqualifying already. You understand? So the inclusion of dad, and in fact in place of shas also. In shas also we're going to put the abhyase charcha, so that abhyase charcha jalam charsiho. So and char and jash. So these two here they are telling us that, in fact, here let's look at the, maybe there might be a comment in the Ashtadhyayi here. So 64126 becomes a nyapakam, that if you make a same letter substitution, that does not disqualify dhatu from 64120. Let's see, it says, he might say something here. Okay, maybe there might be something here. I'm looking if there's any comment by somebody. Okay, maybe okay, I was thinking. Anyway, so that is the nyapakam here, is that the fact that Parni is disqualifying dad means that, otherwise it was qualifying, means that if you make a same letter substitution in the place of the first letter of the abhyasa, that does not disqualify dhatu from 64120. Otherwise there was no need to disqualify that specifically. Okay, so that is one disqualification. These dhatus, so shas, dad, and any dhatu beginning with a vakara, as well as if the akara comes with a operation specified using the guna shabda, then those don't qualify for 64120. Means in those cases we will not do the etam abhyasa lopa. So take a dhatu vam, we will not be, the form will not be ve muhu, it will be vava muhu, vava muhu, vava muhu. Now, having said all of this, for those of you chant Devi Mahatmyam Chandi Pathaha, Saptashati. Saptashati also has 700 shloka, just like Gita has. There is in the second chapter of Saptashati there comes Vemush Chakesh Dudiram, Musalen Brisham Hataha. So Vemush Chakesh Rudiram Musalen Brisham Hataha. So the form Vemuhu has been used in the Chandi Patha. Now technically speaking, according to Panini's rules, the form should have been Vava Muhu. So you may see once in a while, of course, the rules of Panini not followed exactly. And this is the example of that, is that in the Devi Mahatmyam, the form Vemu has been used. That should not be like that according to this sutram, because this says Vakaradinam Eto Abhyasa Lopo. No. The form should be Vava Muhu, not Vemuhu. But Vemu has been used in the Devi Mahatmyam. So next time you listen to Chandi Patha, chapter number 2, Vemush Chakesh Dudaram. Okay, anyway, so this sutram once in a while may not be, respected in the language. Okay, now next sutram we're going to look at is this Richetyarutam. Richetyarutam. Why are we going to 6.7421? Because we're going to need that sutram for the next example. For the next sutram, which is going to 64122, we need to look at 67411. This is Richetyarutam. Richetyarutam. Now this padacheda of this is Richati Rutam iti chedaha. So this is a compound word, Richati Ru and Rutam. So Richatya Rutam, there is a sandhi operation going on here. There's a yan sandhi here, and of course this akasama dirgha going on here. So the padacheda, within the compound, there are three padas, and they are Richati Rutam. So Richatya Rutam, it is like that. So Taudadika Richehe Rudhatoho Rutancha Gunoliti. So let's look at this section. What is the section we're jumping to now? Is so the danger of this, as I said, when we pick rules from different parts of the Ashtadhyayi, we should keep track of where we are. So right now we are now going to 7.4.11. There is anuvritti coming of liti and gunaha. Guna is coming down there. In fact, today we're going to also see the sutram, CF 7.4.10 later on in the class. But right now let's look at 7.4.11, which is Richetya Rutam. Richetya Rutam. what it says is that this dhatu rich from Tudadiganaha and dhatu ru from the Bhavadiganaha and the Jyotyaadiganaha, these two, and any verbal root ending in a dirgha rukaraha, what will they do? They'll take a guna adeshaha in place of the ik letter when lit follows. It doesn't matter whether pratyaya is kit or not kit, doesn't matter whatever it is. These dhatus take the guna adeshaha. So one more time, when you have the Tudadiganaha dhatu richa or the dhatu ru from the Bhavadiganaha or Jyotyaadiganaha, and any verbal root ending in the dirgha rukaraha, they will all take the guna adesha, means in place of the ik letter. Remember the paribhasha iko guna vriddhi. When Pani says guna vriddhi, doesn't specify the sthani, doesn't specify the place of operation, and it says ikaha. So iko guna vriddhi. Guna and vriddhi are specified when they are specified in general. They apply only to a ik letter. So the ik letter will take gunaha. So one more time is that dhatu richa from the Tudadiganaha, the ru dhatu from the Bhavadiganaha and Jyotyaadiganaha, as well as any verbal root ending in the dirgha rukaraha, they will all take the guna adeshaha when the lit pratyaya follows. Take the example of dhatu ru itself. This ru is in the, we can take Bhavadigana example. Again, the class we cannot take all the examples. We'll get more examples in the daily example. Let's take one right now. The dhatu ru is here when we add lit. If you look at the Pratham Purusha Bahuvachanam, as usual we do the Anubandha Lopaha and we do the Tipta Ji. In this case Ji Pratyaya comes because Pratham Purusha Bahuvachanam is the Vivaksha. And the Pratyaya and the Usadesha comes by, as usual, by 3482, Punasipadanam, Nal, Atus, Us, etc. By this time I think these to be quite straightforward for you. And then again the Sakar doesn't get the It Sanya because of Nivakta Utusmaha. Okay, now we do Abhyasaha. Now as we already seen in the examples, many examples, is that by Dirvachanechi, there should be no Aj Adesha done. If Abhyasa is pending, there will be no Adesha in place of the Ach in the Angam based on a Ach which is the Dvitanimittakam Ach. The Ukara of Us is a Dvitanimittakaha because based on the Us we are going to do Abhyasaha. And the same Us is now, based on the same Us, we are looking to do a Guna Adesha by 6, 7, 4, 11. Richatya Rutam is doing Guna Adesha. So this Guna Adesha has to wait until Abhyasa is done. So in pending Abhyasaha, we cannot do any Ajya Adesha, in this case Guna, based on a Pratyaya, which is the cause for Dvitvam. So as per Durvachanechi, we first apply the Tithataran Abhyasasya and then we will apply the Richatya Rutam. The Abhyasa Karyam, when we do Abhyasa and then we do the Urat, Uran Raparaha becomes Ar, Ru plus Us. Kaladisheshaha. In the Abhyasa, a consonant can stay only if it's the first member. And then Ata Adehe. The Rasvakaraha, if it's the Adi in the Abhyasa of lit, it takes the Dirgha Adesha, Ata Adehe. This is Sutram which you already seen, Ata Adehe, which already been used. So 7, 4, 70, Ata Adehe. So the Adi Akaraha in the Abhyasa of lit takes the Dirgha Adesha. So we get A, Ru plus Us. Now once the Abhyasa Karam has been done, now we can apply Richatya Rutam and do the Guna Adesha in place of the Dhatus Rukaraha, Uran Raparaha, make A, Ar, Us and make Aruho. Aru is the final form. So this is the example of Dhatu Ru. Now this, remember, there is Pratyaya, Us is a Kit Pratyaya because of Asanyoga lit Kit. So if in the absence of 741, 7411, we could not apply, our usual Sarvadhatika Ardhatika Yoho because of Kiniticha. So 7411 was required to do Guna Adesha here. Because since the Pratyaya G is Kit, there was no Guna possible otherwise, because by 115 Kiniticha would have blocked 7384 Sarvadhatika Ardhika Yoho. So that's why 7411 comes and says that for this dhatu, whether the pratyaya is kit or not doesn't matter. Guna adesha has to be done when lit follows. So we get the guna adesha and we get the form aruhu. Of course, we do akasa with dirgha and then followed by rutta visarga. So this guna adesha here would not have been possible but for 7-4-11. So 7-4-11 specifically says that for dhatu rich from the tudadi ganaha, dhatu ru from the bhadi gana and juhotyadi ganaha, and for any dhatu ending in the dirgha ru karaha, there is a guna adesha, even if the pratyaya is a kit. That's understood. So the form aruho. Now this sutra we're going to use in the next example here. Let's look at this one now, which is 6-4-122. We are now coming back to this section of the etam abhyasa lopaha. The moment you see a number between 6-4-120 and 126, remind yourself we are in the section of etam abhyasa lopaha. Etam abhyasa lopaha. So 6-4-120 up to 126, we just talked about that, and 126 is nishedha, and then there are 6 vidhi sutrani over here. So let's look at 6-4-122. It says that thru phala bhaja trapascha. Thru phala bhaja trapascha. This is extending 6-4-120 to these dhatus, which would otherwise have not qualified for 6-4-120. In each of them you will see that there is a disqualification of 6-4-120. That's why Panini specifically puts them in 6-4-122 to say that these dhatus 1, 2, 3, 4 will also qualify for etam abhyasa lopaha, even though they don't qualify for 6-4-120. 6-4-120 could not do the job in these 4 dhatus because some condition is not going to be satisfied. Therefore, Panini puts a special sutra in 6-4-122 saying that these 4 will also take etam abhyasa lopaha. Let's look at the vritti of that. Esham ataha etam abhyasa lopashcha syat kitiliti. That condition is still a kitiliti. The pratyaya form should be a kit. Atva thalicha seti. Now this thalicha seti is sutram which we didn't take in the class. We're not going to take it because that is a madhya purusha ekvachanam. Because we're parokshe lit, and we talked in this class before that 90% of the 95% of the time, more than that, I would say 99% of the time, you're going to get only third person lit. Lit is going to be almost always third person. Very rarely you will see a second person, and even more rarely a first person usage. So this sutram thalicha seti, this pratyaya thal comes in place of sip because of 3-4-82. Nal atus us thal atus. So this pratyaya thal we're not looking at in detail because this is a madhya purusha ekavachanam. So but anuvritti comes into 6-4-122. 6-4-122 says that esham means tru phala bhaja trapa iti etesham dhatu nam etam abhyasa lopashcha syat kitiliti and then thalicha seti. This part we can ignore for a time being because we're not going to looking at the madhya purusha ekavachanam, but kitiliti. So now look at these 4 dhatus. Tru phala bhaja trapa. Now in the case of phala, we have had abhyase charcha does a alpa prana chara adesha. We have done a pakara adesha in place of the pakaraha. So that is why phala cannot use 6-4-120. Because the condition of 6-4-120 is that, we just looked at that in place of the first letter, in this case the thakara of phal, there should be no adesha based on the lit. In the case of phal, we will have an adesha. We will have an adesha of pakara by abhyase charcha. That's why phal could not use 6-4-120 because the adi pakara takes the pakara adesha. So that is why Panini specifically says that he has to put phal in 6-4-122. In the case of labha, so what we sorry no, it's not labha, bhaja, excuse me, bhaja, because phala bhaja. So bhaja, same thing. The bhakaraha will take a bakara adesha, jash adesha by abhyase charcha. So that's why bhaj is not qualified for 6-4-120. That's why Panini specifically says put bhaj in 6-4-122 because 6-4-120 would not take bhaj. because bhaja takes the adi bhakara, will take a bakara desha by abhyase chacha. That will disqualify bhaj from 64120. So that's why Pawniyas specifically put it 64122. Now trapa, in trapa you can see the sanyoga is there. The akara is preceded by takara repa sanyoga. Because 64120 says ata ekahal madhye. In the case of dhatu trap, the akara is there, but there is a sanyoga prior to it. So that is why trap also will not qualify 64120. That's why Pawniyas puts it in 64122. So these three we understand why Pawniyas specifically mention these, because in phala we say abhyase charcha adesha pakara, so it won't qualify 64120. In bhaja same thing, abhyase charcha makes a pakara adesha. In trapa there is sanyoga. So 64120 could not handle this case. So that's why Pawniyas puts 64122. So what about thru? Let's look at the example in detail. Thru. Let's look at the example for the Prathama Purusha Bahuvachanam. Because we need a kit pratyaya. See, so we cannot take ekavachanam. In ekavachanam we get the pratyaya null. Now null it comes in place of tip. So in the case of null 1, 2, 5, asanyoga, litkit does not apply. So null pratyaya does not become a kit pratyaya. So that's why we're taking bahuvachanam. We can take dvivachanam also, bahuvachanam. Let's take bahuvachanam as an example. So if we, first steps are always the same. Add lit and when the lopaha g taptas g. Then get the adesha us by 3482 prasipadanam nallatus us. In anekal chi sarvasya anekal adesha. So it replaces the entire pratyaya. G is gone, becomes us. And then of course by nivavakta utusmaha, any sakar doesn't get an it. Now we do recall the sutram which we just learned. We just learned richatya rutam. If you have a rukaranta dhatu, that will take the guna adesha, even if the pratyaya is kit. When a lit pratyaya follows, regardless if it is kit or not kit, doesn't matter. If a rukaranta dhatu is there, richati rutam says, we'll get a guna adesha. Now, but because of dirvachane, that guna adesha has to wait. Ditve kartavye. Because the ukar of us is an ach, that is the cause for dvitvam. There's also the cause for the guna adesha, because guna adesha will take on liti parataha. So the dvitvam is done first and then guna adesha. So we first do the dvitvam over here. So we do tru plus us. Then of course we get the urat, uran paraha, tar tru us. Then haladishesha, ta tru us. Then richati rutam, guna adesha for the rukar of the dhatu. Uran paraha, we get ta tar us. Ta tar us. Now look at what we have. We have ta tar us. Now at this point, all the conditions for 64120 look to be satisfied, because we do have a madhyavarti akara. There is no sanyoga on either side. There is the pratyaya following is a kit pratyaya, because us is a kit as per asanyoga lit kit over here. And there was no adesha based on the takara here. So no different adesha based on takara. So now looks like we could just use 64120 here. But we cannot. Because of what? Because we just learned that 64126 says na shasa dadavadi gunanam. So guna shabdena vihitaha. Vihito yo akaraha. Tasya etam abhyasa lopo na bhavataha. In the case of thru, we did a guna adesha by richati rutam. And that richati rutam was if you look at the 7411, anuvritti of guna is coming into that. By 7411, richati rutam, anuvritti of guna, sanyogadir guna. So that akara will not qualify for 64120. So one more time. We did guna adesha with richati rutam. We got the stage, we came to the stage of tar us. It looks like all the conditions for 64120 are satisfied. In fact, they are satisfied. They are satisfied. But 64126 says, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Excuse me for a second, please. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, so here 64120, the conditions are satisfied, but 64126 comes and stops because this akara was from a guna adesha. So that is why Panini specifically needs to put a dhatu through in 64122. So okay, one last time is that we came to the stage of tar us by doing richati rutam guna adesha. And then we had a situation where 64120 was coming to apply, everything looked to be fine, but 64126 says no. 64126 says that if you get akaraha through a operation which specifically uses the word guna, then that does not qualify for 64120 anymore. So 64120 cannot apply here. That is why Panini has to include dhatu through in 64122, saying that in this case, we still do etvam abhyasa lopaha, even though the akara came through operation using the term guna. So by the special mention of through in 64122, of course, we now do the etvam abhyasa lopaha, and we get the form teruho. So I hope you understand that. So this 64122 extends 64120 for these four dhatus, which would have otherwise been not eligible for 64120, or they have been blocked for 64120. Through was blocked by 64126, and the other three did not qualify at all, because this would have taken abhyasa charcha pakara deshaha. In the case of bhaj, abhyasa charcha by bakara deshaha. In the case of trap, there is sanyoga. So that's why Panini extends 64120 for these four dhatus specifically. Okay, now there's one case where there is a optionality now, because 64124 says optionally va, jru, brahmu, trasam. The same thing here. Just like in the case of through, in the case of jru, also 64126 will block 64120. The same, the steps will be the same. The same steps will come, and again, because of na, shas, the vadi gunanam, jru will not be able to take 64120, because 64126 will stop it. Now, of course, in case of Brahm, there is a sanyoga there, and also you'll get the abhyasa charcha. In case of Tras, also sanyoga is there. So they would not qualify 64120 anyway. But now Panini say that these three dhatus, Jiru, Brahmu, and Tras, will take etvam abhyasa lopaha optionally. Wow. That's all it is. I mean, it's a simple sutram. There's nothing special about it. Esham means Jiru, Brahmu, Trasa, iti etesham dhatunam, kiti liti, and then the talicha seti, we can ignore that because we are not looking at the Madhya Purusha Ekvachanam. So this we can not take for time being. Let's just focus on kiti liti. Ataha etvam abhyasa lopascha vasyata, this vasyata. So then we get two forms. So the akara of the verbal roots jiru, which would have been stopped by 64126 completely, now it's getting optionally. And Brahma, because sanyoga is there, and also abhyasa charcha would have done adesha in place of bakara with the bakara, so that will not qualify 64120. Now it's going to take optionally. And same thing with Tras, there is sanyoga there, so 64120 was not applicable anyway. So it is apraptasya vikalpa, which means there was no prapti, so there was no case for making the etvam abhyasa lopaha. But Panini says for these three, they will optionally still take etvam abhyasa lopaha, but only optionally. So then we get the two forms now. When you look at dhatu Tras, I didn't put all the steps again. You get the form tresuhu, just like petuhu, which we had all the steps over here. We had petuhu. So we get tresuhu as one form. It's optional, right? Optional. So you get one form. When we don't do the etvam abhyasa lopaha, tatrasuhu. So tresu, tatrasu will be two forms because this is va. For these three, it is va. So anyway, I hope you got some flavor for this. So last time in the class, we finished with 64120. Today we looked at the Nisheda Sutram 64126, and we also looked at the extension Atidesha 64122, and also the Vikalpaha by 64124. And of course you'll get a lot of examples coming your way, so we can practice these. So section again is from 64120 to 64126 for the etvam abhyasa lopaha, of which the last sutram is a Nishedha. Let's look at two more rules here, which are applying in the case of lit. One is in the case of, it says abhyasasya savarne. Look at the number 6478. Now we have a very good friend next door. We have a very good friend next door, which is the achishtu dhatu bruvam, your young wangao, which we have used many times. We have used that. So this must be in that context. You see, now we are getting in the Ashtadhyayi, we are capturing, we are having more and more friends around who we can relate to, who we can call for help, who we can make a connection with. So now if we land in this place 6478 and we know 6477 very well, we can understand if something is going to happen with Iyang Uwang. It's probably going to come here now. But of course it is something which 6477 could not handle. Of course, there's no need for 6478. Let's see what it is. It says that Abhyasasya Ivarano Varana Yoho. That's the Yuvor. The vritti of Yuvor coming from the prior sutram Yuvor. So Ivarano Varana Yoho. So that is the sthani. In place of the I varana means rasva ikara atva dirgha ikara, and U varana which is rasva ukara atva dirgha ukara. Iyang uvanga ustaha. Take the adesh of iyang and uvang respectively, yatha sankhya. Asavarane achi. But if you follow by an ach which is asavaranaha, which basically means that if you have the I varana of abhyasaha, which is followed by any other ach except I varanaha, that be asavarna, so any other ach other than I varanaha, then that I varana of the abhyasa will take the iyang adesha. Now if there is in the abhyasa, if you have a U varanaha which is followed by any other ach except the U varanaha, then that U varana of the abhyasa will take the uvang adesha. It's a very simple sutra, nothing complicated here. One more time, said to you many times. This first thing is you chant the sutra abhyasasya savarne. Look at the sutra number. Next thing, look at the vritti. Abhyasasya ivarano varna yoho iyang uvangau staha sto savarnechi means asavarnechi parataha ivarnasya sthane iyangadesha uvarnasya sthane uvangadesha, but abhyasasya in the abhyasaha, as I think I've also mentioned many times, is that you have no idea how much effort goes into these vrittis. There is enormous amount of care and effort, understanding, because the vritti has to assimilate everything for us. The anuvrittis, the paribhashas, the jnapakas, and resolve all conflicts. Everything has to be assembled in the most precise manner in the shortest possible sentence. It's not an easy job. It's not an easy job. So we should pay our respect to those people who spend their lives making the vrittis for us. We can understand precisely and exactly what the sutra is saying. So abhyasasya ivarano varnayoho iyanguvangaustaha asavarnechi. I think this is, once you start looking at these vrittis, it is not that difficult if you practice. And now look at how we are already nearing completion of 500 sutras now. You should be getting to the point now. You're not so afraid. Look at a vritti and try to make some sense of it. So because we are now getting to, I think about 500 sutras should be the point where now we should be able to say, I can get, at least I got some basics. I can try to understand the vritti. And in the sutra, there's nothing that difficult in this sutra really. Is that if you have a I varana or U varana of abhyasa, which is followed by any other ach except the I varana, U varana respectively, then that I varana, U varana abhyasa takes the iyang or uvanga adesha again respectively. Now, as we said to you, when you think of doing any adesha, always think of this sutra chatushtayam, which is alontyasya nitya Adesh parasya anekashi sarvasya. That tells us where to put the adesha. Normally alontyasya. It applies, takes only the ending letter. But anekashi sarvasya. In case of iyang and uvang, it's anekala adesha. But nitya says that any nit adesha will replace only the ending letter anekalapi. Even if it's aneka, replace only the ending letter. So because yang and wang are nyat, they replace only the ending letter. In this case, it won't matter much because the sthani, the item being substituted, is going to be only a single letter. So in this case, it doesn't really matter. But still, we should make note of the fact this adesha, yang and wang has the kavarga panchama as an it, which means you have to apply 1153 nich. It will only replace the ending letter of the term being replaced, even though yang and wang have more than one letter in them, because iya and uva. So, and one more time is that always remove the it letters first. When we ask the question, does this adesha have 2 letters or 1 letter or 3 letters? Does it have an ach? Is it ajadi? All that is to be done after removing the packaging, which is the it letters. Never forget that. The it letters don't contribute to any of this. They're only messages. They are not part of the adesha or the pratyaya or the dhatu. The it letters are only passing on a message and they go away. So you get a package in the door, you should remove the packaging first, right? So yang and wang, first you remove the it letters by upadesha nasikit and halantyam. So only iya and uva, they have 2 letters each. So anekal adesha, normally anekal is sarvasya 1155, but nicha 1153 says replace only the ending letter. In this case, it won't matter because you're replacing only a single letter. There's no choice. Because you're replacing only a single letter, there's no choice. It's going to be like that. But anyway, but in case there is a choice, it will only replace the last letter. So let's look at an example. In gatau, very famous dhatu in gatau. As you know, this is used in very first sloka of Gita. Always keep Gita in mind at all time. Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta samavaita. Some of in the very first line of Gita. Dhatu in gatau. Samaveta yutsavaha. Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta samavaita. That ita is from dhatu in gatau. Okay, anyway, so E plus lit when you take, first step is always the same, which we looking at Pratham Purusha Ekavachanam now. So Anubandha Lopaha, Tipta G, Tip, because Pratham Purusha Ekavachanam, Naladeshaha, Anubandha Lopaha, Vachutu Halantyam, yet Tasya Lopaha, E plus her. Now, there is, because it's a null pratyaya is a nit pratyaya, we can think of doing vriddhi by achogniti. Achogniti 72115. But again, Durvachane, don't forget Durvachaneachi. Durvachanachi says that this, any ajyadesha that has to wait, dvitve kartavye. So if you have an ach, which is dvitva nimittakaha ach, is looking to do any ajyadesha in the angam, then that has to wait. So now you see how important this sutram is. Durvachaneachi. Durvachaneachi always makes a checkpoint that are you doing ajyadesha in the angam based on the ach, which is a cause for dvitvam, then wait. Don't do it. Dvitve kartavye. Keep it pending. Keep it pending. Dvitvam is done. So we do abhyasa first. Iti dhaturana abhyasasya. Iti dhaturana abhyasasya. E. Now we can do achogniti. Make it E, I, A. And now see what we have. We have the ikaraha, ivarnaha. It's in the abhyasa, purva abhyasa, 614 purva abhyasa. It's followed by a ach, which is the I. It is asavarna acha, because ivarna will be savarna with ivarna. This is a I. So we have a ivarna in the abhyasa. It's followed by asavarna ach. Then in place of the ivarna, we get the iyanga adesha. And then, of course, we do Anubandha Lopaha by Upadesha Nasike Thalantyam, and we get Iya, I, then Echo Yava, Yavaha become Iyaya, Iyaya, this becomes I, become Iyaya, Iyaya. So, one more time, the Suttam says that Abhyasasya Savarne is 6478, right below Achishnu Dhatu Bruvam, Yuvar Iyang Vangau. It says that in the Abhyasa, if you have E Varna or U Varna, followed by Asavarna Ach, and that E Varna or U Varna takes the Yang or Uvanga Adesha respectively. In this case, with Dhatu Ingato, we had, after doing Abhyasa Karyam, after doing the Achogniti, we had E, I, A. So we have E Varna of Abhyasa, followed by asavarna ach, that E varna takes the yangadesha, then we go echoyavayava iyaya. Same dhatu, when if you look at the dvivachanam, we need another special sutram. See, all these dhatu which are used the most, they have the most exceptions, like Rama Shabda, Asmad, Yushmad, Kru dhatu, even Bhu dhatu. They have the most exceptions because they get those general rules get because by usage they get special forms. So for the beginner it's very discouraging because he says Rama Shabda, so many exceptions. That means, oh my God. But that is the most exceptions. So even in Gata is a very well used dhatu, so it has a special sutram for it. Dirgha inah kiti. Now keep in mind, what is the domain of each rule? The prior rule applied to any dhatus ivarna uvarna abhyasa. While this one we are coming to now is only for the dhatu in Gata. How do we know that? Because of course in the sutram itself we can see it. Dirgha inah kiti. Inah kiti. And this is only kiti parataha. Inah kiti. So in the prior case the null pratyaya was not a kit. Because 1, 2, 5 asanyuga lit kit is only apit lit kit syat. So null is not apit, it came in place of tip. So it is a pit pratyaya by sthanivat bhavaha. So that's why this sutram dirgha inah kiti did not apply in the prior example, in the pratham purusha ekavachanam, because that null pratyaya is not a kit. But now when you take a look at the number, by the way, 7469. We are in the section of abhyasasya, because we already, of course, we know rasvaha, haladisheshaha, kuhoshchuhu, urat. So we know which section we are in. And now that is these are, as I said, these are general rules. They apply for any kind of abhyasa. These don't say that abhyasa only in lit, only in this, only in that. These are general rules. But now come specific rules which apply only to abhyasa in the case of lit. And this one says dirgha inah kiti, but only liti parataha. So what this sutram says, very straightforward. It says that ino abhyasasya. So if you have the dhatu in gatau, in the adadi ganaha, and abhyasasya dirgha syat kiti liti. This is very straightforward. If you have the dhatu in gatau, when you say dirgha, rasva, guna, vriddhi, it only applies for an ach. Remember that. The hulls, the consonants, have no dirgha sabhedha. Okay, so when you say dirgha, it immediately implies an ach, because dirgha has no meaning for a consonant. I mean, it's obvious, but it's for, so dirgha means only achaha. So if in the abhyasa of in gatau, if you have a ach, it will take dirgha adesha, but only kitiliti. So if you look at the example now, that's so ino abhyasasya dirghasyat kitiliti. Straightforward vritti. It's very straightforward. This you can increase your confidence, If you look at the vritti like this, you can understand it thoroughly yourself. There's nothing to it. There's really nothing to it. Ino abhyasasya dirghasyat kitiliti. As simple as that. So if you take the example, if you take dvivachanam, prathamurusha dvivachanam, E plus lit, first step's always lakara paroksha lit, and then do anubandha lopaha, then tiptash ji, in this case tas pratyaya, the dvivachanam. So we get the adesha atus by null atus us, null atus us, so atus is the adesha, anekashi sarvasya, and of course because nivavakta tusmaha, the ending sakara of atus is not an it. And then we do the abhyasa karyam as usual. We have to wait. We cannot apply the, don't forget our sutram inoyan, which you studied now. Inoyan. So that's what I told you. This dhatu in gatau has no exception because this dhatu is used. So inoyan is saying that we had a sutram ajado pratyaya pare. So if you have ajadi pratyaya following dhatu in, that in takes the yan adesha, not the iyang adesha. We understand that. If the dhatu in gatau is followed, of course in gatau naka is an it by halantyam, so only ikara remains after anubandha lopaha. If it's followed by ajadi pratyaya, it will not take the yang, it will take the yan adesha instead. So this is 36481. So right now what do we have? So that's ino yan, which you already studied when we did the form yanti. When we did the form in lat lakara itself, when we did the pratham purusha bahuvachan, we got the form yanti. So that's ino yan. Now what do we have right now? We have E plus atus. So we do have the ikara of in gatau. It's followed by the ajadi pratyaya. So ino yan wants to now come and do a yanna desha. But don't forget dirvachaneyachi. We cannot do any adesha in place of a ach of the yangam based on a ach which is the cause for dvitvam. The akara of atus is a cause for dvitvam because of liti dhatu ranabhyasasya. And the same akara of atus is the basis of being the ino yan adesha. So that yan adesha has to wait. Dvitve kartavye. Dvitvam has to be done. Yan that adesha has to wait. So we do the abhyasa. So you see how important this sutra is, Dvirvachanechi. All the time it says, wait. Don't do a adesha in place of ach of the yangam based on the ach which is also the nimittam for the abhyasa. So we wait there, we do abhyasa karyam first, then we do ino yan. So the ino yan is only pending till abhyasa is done. So now we got e ya atus. E ya atus. Now look at, can we apply dirgha in a kiti? Yes, we can. Because atus, of course, is a kit pratyaya, asanyoga lit kit. Asanyoga lit kit 1 to 5. Now this should be by now second nature for you. Asanyoga lit kit. And I said, if you're sick of hearing it from me, it's time to teach somebody else. Because when you're sick of hearing it from me, if you pass it on to somebody else, you try to teach somebody else. So asanyoga lit kit. Atus came in place of pratyaya. Thus, there's not a pit. There's no sanyoga prior to it. So it is a kit pratyaya. So dirgha in a kiti now comes and makes it iyatuhu. Iyatu. So one more time. If in the abhyasaha of the single dhatu in gatau, in the adadikanaha, if it's followed, which is the angam is followed by a kit lit pratyaya, then that ikara in the abhyas of in gatau will take the dirgha adesha. As I said in the prior example, we had the pratyaya null in the prior example. That null pratyaya is not a kit because it's a pit pratyaya, we came in place of tip. So that time we could not use dirgha in a kiti. But now we have dvivachanam, atus is a kit pratyaya, asanyoga lit kit. So we'll now get the iyatuhu dirgha adesha, because if we do have the ikara of the dhatu in gatau, it's followed by lit pratyaya, which is kit. So we get iyatuhu. Now remember, we just looked at Sutram 7.4.11, Richati Rutam, we just studied that today. In fact, Richati Rutam gets anuvritti from this prior Sutram. Tacha sanyoga der gunaha. Tacha sanyoga der gunaha. So you have to be a bit careful, by the way. This Sutram, just to give you a warning, is that the same, very similar sounding Sutram comes in a different place, you know. Ritashcha is coming in, and Ritashcha sanyoga dehe in a completely different context. In 7.2.43, look at the number. This is not today's topic. I'm just giving you a heads up here. It's 7.2.43. Look at the number, which means in the idagama section. Remember, we studied 7.2.35 already. We studied that in the last class. We studied 7.2.10. We studied in the last class. So this is a section of the idagama. In that section, there is a very similar sutram. Ritashcha sanyoga dehe. So be careful. Don't confuse these two, please. Don't confuse Ritashcha sanyoga dehe with Ritashcha sanyoga der gunaha, which is what we're doing today. Okay? So don't confuse the completely different context. One is for a idagamaha topic, and this is talking about a guna adesha when lit follows. So that's in the Ashtadhyayi, you have to be careful, because you have to know where you are, because there might be the same sutram or similar sounding sutram which will be confusing. So Ritashcha sanyoga dehe is in 7.2. Ritashcha sanyoga der gunaha in 7.4. Please don't confuse these two. So right now we're looking at Ritashcha sanyoga, because we just studied the next sutram. We just did that just now in the class today. Richati rutam. Today we just did that. So in fact, the prior sutram here is Ritashcha sanyoga der gunaha. The anuvritti of guna came into that Richati rutam from this sutram. It's also very straightforward. Sutram 6.7.4.10 is saying is that if we have, in fact, let's look at the vritti for a second here. It says that, okay, Ridantasya sanyoga rangasya gunolity. If you have an angam which ends in a rikaraha, which is sanyogadi, should be said with sanyoga prior to that. Means a conjunct consonant. That is called sanyoga. Then sachanangam will take the guna adesha when lit follows. Whether it is kit or not kit doesn't matter. When lit is there, sachanangam will take guna adesha. So rudantasya, very straightforward. Rudantasya. Rud means taprastat kalasya. Means rasva rukarantasya. Rukarantasya. Rukarantasya sanyogadehe angasya. Guno liti. So that's what it says. So if you take dhatu smru, chinta, is remember, of course, smru is very easy dhatu. Smrati, to remember, smru chintayam. When we take a prathama bhavachanam, when we follow the usual step, we get smru plus lit, alumanda lopaha, jiyadeshaha, these are all the same steps. Ussadeshaha, nal atus us, anekashis sarvasya, nivavakta to smaha, same things again, prevents the sakar from taking the itsanya. Now what do we have? We have smru plus us. Just check the conditions now. You should get into the habit of this before applying any sutra. Just like a lawyer or a judge, you should go through the vritti and make sure that every condition is satisfied. You'll be surprised how many times you'll find out something is not correct. And also, as I said, that'll get the vritti in your mind, firmly in your mind. Okay, so let's look at the vritti. Let's look at what we have. It says rudantasya. We do have that because we have the smru ends in the rukaraha. Rudantasya. Sanyogadehe. We have the because we have sakara makara sanyogaha. Angasya. We do have. We need a pratyaha. We create an angam. We need a pratyaha. We create an angam. Yasma pratyaya vidhi. Tadadi pratyaya angam. So we do have an angam. And then gunoliti. So now guna adesha wants to come. But let's not forget again our friend dirvachaneyachi. Always. Dirvachaneyachi is that don't do an adesha, in this case gunaha, in place of a ach of the angam based on a ach which is also the cause for dvitvam. Right now the ukara of us is the cause for both the guna adesha, because why is the cause? Because it says liti. So unless lit follows, there is no guna possibility. So the us, that ukara of us, is the cause for the guna adesha, is the basis for guna adesha. It's also the basis for the dvitvam. Liti dhatoranabhyasasya. So ajadesho na dvitya kartavye. So do the dvitvam first, then only do the ajadesha, in this case guna. So we'll do the guna, the abhyasa karyam, liti dhatoranabhyasasya. Then of course urat. These I'm assuming now these are straightforward to you. Urat in the abhyasa rubana takes the akaradesha, uran raparaha becomes smar, and then haladi sheshaha, the makarastha refasilo. And now we can do the guna adesha vritasya sanyoga adir gunaha, and we get the form, and of course uran raparaha, and we get the form sasmaruhu. Now let me point out one thing, is that if we did not have the special sutram, in this case the pratyaya us is a kit. Asanyoga litkita. So we could not have used 7384, which is the sarvadhataka ardhadhataka yoho, because it would have been blocked by 115 kiniticha. So this guna adesha is only taking place thanks to vitasya sanyoga adir gunaha. Otherwise, the 7384 would have been blocked by 115. So this is a special sutram. It says that if you have a rukarantamangam, which is sanyogadi, it will take gunaha when lit follows, regardless if it's kit or not, it doesn't matter, it takes guna adesha. And let's take one last sutram before we start a new topic today. Then uttamova. Again, this sutram is not really important to us right now because we are not looking at the madhyam purusha and uttam purusha. We just talked about that because of parokshe, lit is almost always third person, almost always. There are some exceptions, but in Gita only one place. But so this sutram is talking about the uttam purusha null, because what is 3482 says, Pasna padanam null atus thal atusa nalvamaha. So in the parasya padam, the mip also takes the null adesha, because what we have with 3482 is that parasya padanam null atus us thal atus nalvamaha. So null comes twice. Null is an adesha for tip, adesha for mip also. So because of null atus us, thal atus nalvamaha. So in the place of mip, was and mas, we get nal, va and ma. Now the sutram says that, again, this is not important for us because we are not looking at really Uttama Purusha, but it's a very simple sutram. So I put in the document here is that it says nal uttamo va. Nal uttamo va. Look at the section here. In fact, do we have any friends over? Yes, we do. We have this sutram goto nit. Remember what goto nit, which we had? We found the word like gavaha, and Sarvopanishado gavo, right? Dogdha gopanandanaha. So that was, we use goto nit 7190, and anurvritti of nit is coming into 7191 because we have used 7190 already repeatedly. So we have a very good friend next. If you look at 7190, we have used it. We have used 7190. It says that goto nit. Goto nita is okar. It says a little bit extension. Okarad vihitam sarvanamasthana nitvat bhavati. So becomes gavaha. So it becomes gauhu, becomes gavaha. So we have used that. So this sutram says nal uttamo va, which means that very simple sutram uttamo nal, which means in uttam purusha ekvachanam, not the one within prasam purusha. That's why so far we didn't need this sutram. This only talking about the null which is coming in place of mip, uttam purusha. That null will be nit optionally. Uttamo null va nit syat. Very straightforward. So this null, when it comes in place of mip, in the Uttam Purusha Ekvachanam, which is of course very rarely used, it will become nit optionally. Which means what? You will get the atopadhaya optionally. You get two forms, jagada. If you take the dhatu gada, pratyayam vachi means to speak coherently. So it becomes jagada jagada. So in the Uttam Purusha Ekvachanam, in the first person singular, you get two forms, jagada jagada, because when it is a nit, you apply atupadhaya. It's not a nit, you cannot apply atupadhaya. But in the pratham purusha, in the third person, only one form, jagada. But in the first person, Uttam Purusha, it is only optionally nit, so it becomes two forms. So very simple sutram. The null adesha, which comes in place of mip, Uttam Purusha Ekvachanam, which we rarely see in the language, is only optionally nit, which means that in this here we can apply the atopadhaya only optionally. So pakshe vridyadesha, pakshe abhavaha, jagada jagada. But this is, one more time, it's Uttam Purusha Ekvachanam. Don't confuse this, please. So this is not Pratham Purusha. Pratham Purusha, no problem. Pratham Purusha, that null is a nit all the time. There's no issue there. So okay. Now today is a new topic which we'll have for the rest of our life now. It's called Anuprayoga Lit. Oh, Chitra has a question. Yes.
In the English vritti of that the seven, the previous the sutram that we were seeing, it is written when used for Prathama Purusha.
Yeah, that's an error. Thank you. Please point out to me any errors. I'll correct it right now. It's an error, man. Kshamyata.
Okay.
No, that's an error. This one is correct. Uttamo nalva. Yeah. Any error on the board that you see, please point out. I don't want to keep any error as far as possible. And of course, we can correct after the fact also, but good to correct right now. So let me correct it right now. That's definitely an error. Okay. I'm glad you're paying attention. You're awake. Very good. So naruttamo va. Okay. Uttamaha. Uttamo nalva. Okay. Let me correct it right now. Good. Thank you. Good. Thank you. So I will save it right now. And okay. So this one says that ladies is coming. Okay. It's going to come here now. So it says that Uttam Purusha. Okay. Thank you. So it's not Pratham Purusha. Uttam Purusha. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Now a new topic for today. So it says it's called Anuprayoga Lit. Anuprayogaha. What happens is that let's look at the sutram itself. It will tell us the story. The sutram is 3.1. This is section from 3.135 to 3.139. 3.135 to 3.139. 3.135 to 3.139. This cast pratyayad amamantreliti. Amamantreliti. This pratyaya am is being prescribed here in certain situations. In certain situations of lit, which you're going to see what the situations are. We get this pratyaya am. And when that happens, we don't get the abhyasa and all that. We get a completely new kind of form in which a second dhatu is used as an auxiliary dhatu. Okay, so we get in Gita, Darshayamasa Parthaya. Shri Krishna showed to Arjuna his Vishwarupam. Darshayamasa Parthaya. Paramam Rupam Aishwarya. Darshayamasa. Ashvasayamasa. These are these forms called Anuprayoga lit. Anu means Paschat. Means that there is one dhatu. And then, in certain circumstances, of course, the second dhatu comes with its own lit pratyaya. So in Darshayamasa, with dhatu drish is there. And also we have the dhatu as, which is coming with its own lit pratyaya. Now when does that happen? And why does that happen? That is today's topic. It's a very important topic, so please, this is a new topic for us. So right now we are going to a new situation where we will not be using the 618 Diti Dhatu Abhyasasya in the one part. We'll using in this in one part. We'll be using it, not in one part. Okay. So let's start. Let's see what we have here. He says the sutram says kas pratyad amantre liti. That's what the sutram says. When lit pratyaya follows, then following the dhatu kas, this is single dhatu, which is kasru. Shabda kutsa, means to cough, I think. In English, in Hindi, we say kasi aati, right? So that is the kas. Kas is to cough. So kas is to cough. Shabda kutsayam, kas. So that's a single dhatu. But in pratyayad, any derived dhatu, which are these? We have seen these already. We have seen the pratyaya nich, sanadyanta dhatava. Sanadyanta dhatava. When we add the pratyaya, for example, we saw a couple of these already. We have seen this hetumaticha, we have seen when the pratyaya nich was added. We have also seen the churadibhyo swarte nich. We have also seen this kamerning pratyaya. So these are from this 315 to 31 sanadyanta dhatava, sun, etc. These get derived dhatus. So we have a shuddha dhatu from dhatu patha. Then in a special meaning, we create a new dhatu by adding a pratyaya which gets a dhatu sanya of itself. This means that's what is meant by pratyayad. Means pratyayanta dhatu if we have, which means sanadyanta dhatavaha. Then what happens that amantre. Mantra means really means, in the in the section, the Samhita section of the Veda. So the Vedas have different sections. The mantra bhaga, another bhaga. So in the mantra bhaga of the Vedas, okay. Anyway, we're not studying Vedas right now, so it doesn't matter to us. Amantra means in certain sections of the Vedas, in the mantra bhaga of Veda, this will not apply. So let's for this class, we can ignore that amantra. We can ignore that because we're not studying Veda in the class anyway. So, but now what has is a vartikam, which extends that sutram. The sutram says, for the dhatu kas, following the dhatu kas, and any derived dhatu, means sanadyanta dhatava, which is says pratyayanta dhatu, the pratyaya am will come when lit follows. But the vartikakaraha extends that. He says that kasi anekachaha am vaktavyaha liti. So the vartikam makes an extension. Rather than saying pratyayanta dhatu, any anekash dhatu. Now, when you have a derived dhatu, it's going to be anekach. Because dhatu will have an ach, and the pratyaya like nich or ning will have an ach. So generally speaking, when you have a derived dhatu, sanadyanta dhatavaha, they will all be, generally speaking, anekach. At least two ach will be there. So they will all qualify for the vartikam, but there are dhatu in the dhatu part also anekach. Like a dhatu like jagru may be there. So now that dhatu jagru would not have qualified for the sutram, but by the vartikam we are extending that to any anekash dhatu. Not only the derived dhatus, but even in the dhatu patha, for dhatu is anekach, then there also we get the pratyaya am when lit follows. So one more time, the sutram was saying that if you have dhatu kas, which is single dhatu, is kasru in the sense to cough, vadikanaha, and any derived dhatu, pratyayanta dhatu, sanadyanta dhatavaha, then such a dhatu, following such a dhatu, pratyaya am will come, lit follows. The vartikam extends that. Rather than saying pratyanta dhatu, says anekach dhatu. We should include all those pratyanta dhatu. It also includes some from the dhatu partha which are anekach. Because in dhatu partha, most dhatus are ekach only. The dhatu partha, almost all of them have only one ach, but there are some which have more than one ach. And the sutram would not take those in, because sutram wanted to derive dhatu only. But the Vartikakara says that if it's any anekach dhatu, even from dhatu partha itself, if it's anekach, doesn't matter. As long as it's anekach, the pratyaya am will come. So rather than saying pratyayat, say anekachaha. So kasya anekachaha am vaktavyo liti. So basically the sutram has been amended by the Vartikakara, saying that instead of saying pratyayad, say anekachaha. So remove the pratyayad and say anekacha. So we include all those which are pratyanta, of course, because they are anekach anyway. But we also get now from the dhatu part of anekach, they will also take the pratyaya am. So it's kasya anekacha am vaktavyo liti. So when lit follows, the affix am is prescribed after the dhatu kas and also after any dhatu's anekacha. Now the first question is that, is the makar of am and it by halantyam? Because halantyam, in a technical term, upadeshe, the ending hal is an it. So that makara will qualify as an it now. But what will happen is that if that is taken as an it, then we will have to apply 1147 vidachu antyat parataha. So we'll have to apply 1147. So 1147, excuse me. So vidachu antyat paraha. Vidachu antyat paraha. So what will happen is that, let's remind ourselves the sutra number is 3135. Okay, we are in the adhikara pratyah parascha. So we are in the adhikara pratyah parascha, which is 311312. So the 3135 is in this adhikara pratyah parascha. So as a default, the pratyah am should be a pratyah which goes paraha, which goes after the term which is prescribed. So you should follow the dhatu. But if we take the makara as an it, like we had the ik, like we had the pratyaya shnam, rudadi vyashnam. Remember that we did that in the rudadi kanaha. We had the pratyaya shnam, rudadi vyashnam, and that shnam, like runadhi, etc., that went inside the dhatu, right? It went inside there. So now, can we do the same thing for the pratyaya am also? Because in the am, by halantyam, the makara will qualify as an it, and if it becomes an it, then we have to use 1147 vidachu antyat paraha and put the am not after the term but inside the term after the last vowel. If we do that, then look what happens is that because Panini has said that dhatu kas should take the pratyaya am. If we take the makara as an it and apply 1147 vidachu antyat paraha, then in the kas dhatu, there is only one ach, which is the akara, of course. Then the am will go inside after the akara. We'll get ka am sa. And after doing akasame dirgha, we'll get kas again. So basically, one more time, if we take the makara as an it in am by halantyam, that will trigger 1147 vidachu antyat paraha, which will mean that rather than putting am after the dhatu by pratyaya and parascha, you have to put it after the last vowel in the dhatu. So in the case of the dhatu kas, it will go after the akara. So we'll get ka asa. We get this, and when we do akasame dirgha, we'll get the same form kas back again. Then what does that mean? That am vidanam vyartham syat. That am will have no meaning. Because if you put the am to dhatu kas after the akara and do akasame dirgha, you get the same form kas again. So what's the point in prescribing am to kas? We're going to get the same form kas again. So that now becomes a jnapakam. The fact that Pani has prescribed am to kas, that makara is not going to be an it. It will not fit. It
See, in all the rules of Panini, we have to apply them intelligently, not mechanically. Okay, that's one thing to remember that. Rules of Panini have to be applied intelligently, not mechanically. So if something, the whole thing has to make sense. If something obviously doesn't make sense, then we have to realize that and accordingly interpret the rule. So what's happening right now is that the pratyaya am is being prescribed. Normally pratyaya parascha. But by halantyam, the makara would qualify as an it. If we do that, then we have to apply midachantya paraha. And if we take a dhatu kas and take the am, put after the akara of kas, and we do akasma dirgha, we'll get kas again. So then the am vidhan vyartham syat. It will be useless. The fact that this is happening tells us that the makara in am is not an it. Vidhana samarthyat. The vidhana samarthyam. Because the fact that Panini has prescribed am to kas tells us that this makara of am cannot be an it. Otherwise it doesn't make any sense. We'll get kas back kas again. In fact, not only kas, but in another sutram which we are not going to take today, but there's a dhatu as also, which is coming in 3137. They're also same thing. If you take the dhatu as and make the makara of am as an it and apply vidachantya paraha and do akasma dirgha, we'll get the same dhatu as again back. So these rules are telling us that the fact that Panini has prescribed am to kas as well as as is giving it the nyapakam that the makara of am is not an it. So it says here, amo makarasya na itvam, as kasoho am vidhana jnapaka. This is from Siddhanta Kaumudi, by the way. Siddhanta Kaumudi is really the text for grammar for us. Siddhanta Kaumudi. In fact, what we're doing is basically Siddhanta Kaumudi only. We're doing it in simplified form and in English. The Siddhanta Kaumudi should be our home base. So any statement of Siddhanta Kaumudi, you have to pay close attention to what Bhattoji is saying. So what he's saying here is that amaha makarasya na itvam, netvam, means the makara of am does not get its sanya. Why is that? As kasoho am vidhanat jnapakat. By the fact that Pani has prescribed am to as and kas, that becomes an indication, jnapakam, indication, a hint that the makara of am cannot be an it. If it is an it, it will not make any sense. You will get the same form as and kas back again. So now, as a practical, let me tell you at one point this thing now. We just said that the dhatu kas and any anekash dhatu. Now, in the dhatu partha, almost all dhatus, almost all are ekach. Only very few are anekach. Okay. Now, also in the sanadhyanta dhatu, derived dhatus, sanadhyanta dhatu from 315 to 3131, derived dhatus. There also, the most common one is the niche, the causative form. It's not the only one. So if you want to make it really simple for you right now, remember this one simple fact, that when you have a causative form, when somebody is making someone else do something, then you will have anuprayoga lit, not the ditva lit. Because when you add the pratyaya nich by 3126 hetumaticha, you're going to get anekash dhatu, sanadhyanta dhatavaha, and then the sutram. So the main application of this sutram is going to be in the causative forms, because as I mentioned to you, in the dhatu partha, almost all dhatus are ekach. And among the derived dhatus, the most important one there is the niche pratyaya, as a causative. In fact, Bhagavad Gita, of course, Gita is not everything, but just as a starting point, in the Gita, the only place you have anuprayoga lit is by the causative forms. Now, 3135 is not the only sutram for this anuprayoga lit. There are another 1, 2, 3 rules over here, 4. But these are specific dhatus. See, this some that we're going to take this one in the class maybe this time or next time if you have time. And then there are specific. But the niche causative can be any dhatu. Any dhatu when you are talking about the hitumati vyaparaha, hitumati vyapare, then you're going to get, which is very common. You know, for example, Ramaha vanam jagama, Rama to the forest. Then Kaikeyi Ramam vanam gamayamasa. It's very common. So if you say like, so Kaikeyi made Rama go to the forest because she is the hetu. She made him go. So Ramaha vanam jagama, but Kaikeyi Ramam vanam gamayamasa. Same thing here. Arjunaha Vishwarupam dadarsha. He saw the Vishwarupam. But then Shri Krishnaha darshayamasa. He made him see. He made him see. So these are the Sutram 3135, which we replaced by the Vartikam, because we said that Kasi Anekachaha, is going to have application. The most important case is when you have a causative form. So remember that much. If you have a causative form of Churadigana Dhatuho, then we will not get the Vitva lit. We get the Anuprayoga lit. So even though any Anekash Dhatu, Anuprayoga lit. The most important case of that is the causative form. Okay. So let's take an example. Darshayamasa, and time is running out as usual. So let me see if we can take one or two more steps. So when you have the Dhatu Drish, add the Pratyaya Nich, because Shri Krishna made Arjuna see. English means he showed. English you can say he showed him, but technically he made him see. So we take the Pratyaya Drish, Dhatu Drish, which is Drishir Prekshane, and the Pratyaya Nich by Hetu Maticha. What is Hetu? Tat Prayojako Hetushcha. Swatantra Karta, Tat Prayojako. So these sanyas which you have learned, don't forget them, please, because in the Karaka Adhikara we saw that. Tat Prayojako Hetushcha. Swatantra Karta means the Karta, in this case Arjuna. He sees. But Tat Prayojako Hetushcha. Arjuna means Shri Krishna is the Prayojaka. He makes Arjuna see. When such a Vyapara is there, Hitmuti Vyapare, then you have to use the Pratyaya Nich, which we of course we have seen previously in the class. So Hetumati Nich, and then we get of course Uganta Laghupatasya, Uran Rapara, correct? And then we get Darshi. Now Darshi gets a Dhatu Sanya, but Sanadyanta Dhatavaha. So so far nothing special, we have seen this in the class before. Now when we take Darshi plus Lit, because remember Darshi got the Dhatu Sanya, but Sanadyanta Dhatavaha. So Darshi is a Dhatu now. Dush also is a Dhatu, but Darshi also is a Dhatu. Because 3132 says Sanadyanta Dhatavaha. From 315 to 3131, when you add a Pratyaya and make the form, it is a Dhatu Sanya. So now we can take Darshi plus Lit in Hitumuti Vyapare, when Shri Krishna is showing him, making him see. So now we have Anekash Dhatu for the Lit, so we get the Pratyaya Am in between now. So now we have Darshi Am plus Lit. So please pay attention, because this is a very important topic. Only 10-15 minutes are left now, so let me try to see if I can finish this form, because it's going to come over and over and over again, many for the rest of your life. Anuprayoga Lit is going to be your domain, so it's not very difficult. So again, one more time, Pratyaya Am comes if you have a Dhatu Kas or any Anekash Dhatu, which includes all derived Dhatu, which of the most important one is this causative form, Pratyaya Nich. Now what happens is here is that this is Pratyaya Am has sanya of ardhadhatukam, because of ardhatukam sheshaha. Dhatu iti vihitaha. It's in the dhatu adhikara, which starts from 3122. So the Am is a pratyaya with the dhatu adhikara, and we have what? Ting shit sarvadhatukam, ardhadhatukam sheshaha. So ting shit sarvadhatukam, ardhadhatukam sheshaha. So in the dhatu adhikara, the pratyaya has to get either sanya of sarvadhatukam or ardhatukam. Only ting shit sarvadhatukam. Of course, Am is clearly not a ting pratyaha. It doesn't have the talavishakar as an it, so it's going to be ardhatukam sheshaha. Now, remember Sutram Liraniti. Anidada ardhatuke pare ne lopasyat. This is my teacher's favorite Sutram. It reminds me of him all the time. He unfortunately passed away last year. Anytime he started Vritti, so his favorite Vritti it was. Anidada ardhatuke pare ne lopasyat. So if you have a pratyaya, which is sanya of ardhadhatukam, adhika ardhadhatuke. So Am pratyaya does have sanya of ardhatukam sheshaha. It's not valadi. It's ajadi pratyaya. You cannot take idagama. Remember 7 to 35 says ardhatuka said valadehe. Only valadehe. So Am cannot take idagama. There's no chance. Because pratyaya has to be valadi to take idagama. So now if we have the pratyaya Am, which doesn't have idagamaha, and which does have sanya ardhatukam, then we would have to apply Nirniti. So Anidada Vardhake Pare Ne Lopasyat. Anidadau Ardhatuke Pare Ne Lopasyat. So Ne Lopa Praptaha. But we don't want that. We don't want it to take Lopaha. Because if we don't have any other special rule right now, we are going to be stuck with 6451 because we do have the Pratyaya Nicha. It is followed by Pratyaya Am, which does have Sanya Vardhakam. It has no Idagama possibility. It's not Valadi. So then the niche is now going to take Lopaha by Niraniti. Anidada Vardhake Pare Ne Lopasyat. But now comes this sutram to a rescue. Below that, 6455, special sutram, which says that I am antal yet Vishnushu. This is a tongue twister. I am antal yet Vishnushu. Antal yet Vishnushu. So I am antal yet Vishnushu. Ayamantal yet Vishnushu. So I is the Adesha. Okay. In place of Nich, place of Ni, if followed one of these sutras, this is Saptami Bahuvachanam. So when followed by either Am,
Satishi?
Yes. Go ahead, Ravi. You can pronounce better than I did.
Va in the sutra.
In the Va, in which sutram, Ravi?
The same thing. Not in the typo, but while saying it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you say it, Ravi. You're better. Go ahead.
Ayamantal vayet Vishnuhu.
Ah, very good. Yes. Okay, I'll go slowly. Yeah. This time is running out. It's my excuse. No, but yes, good. Read one more time, Ravi. One more time. Go ahead. Go ahead, Ravi.
Ayamantal vayet Vishnuhu.
Very good. Ayamantal vayet Vishnushu. Better this time? Correct. Ayamantal vayet Vishnushu. Ayamantal vayet Vishnushu. Ayamantal vayet Vishnushu. I try to practice that at home. For some reason, this sutram is very difficult to pronounce. I always make a mistake in this sutram. Ayamantal vayet Vishnushu. Ayamantal vayet Vishnushu. Okay, I think I got it right finally. So these are pratyas Am, Anta, Alu, Aya, Itnu, and Ishnu. Now these are not, I think the most of these come from the Unadi Sutram. I think they're not very common. The most common is Am. So in fact, for right now only Am. So with this says that in place of this Ni, it's in this case Nich, do the I Adesha. When followed by one of these, which is Am, Antal, Vayet, Vishnushu. So Am, Anta, Alu, Aya, Itnu, Ishnushu. So Ayam, Antal, Vayet, Vishnushu. So Itnu and Ishnu. So right now we can forget about this Anta, Alu, Aya, Itnu, and Ishnu. And Ravi is right. I should take it slowly. Ayam, Antal, Vayet, Vishnushu. So when Am follows, basically the niche will take the I Adesha. Rather than taking Lopaha by 6451, it will take the anyway, thanks to Ravi. Ravi has learned the Vyakaranam from the Tinganta Prakaranam also, so it's good to have him in the class, make corrections, and also records every class. So thanks to Ravi, the class is going on. So the Am Pratyaya, when Am Pratyaya follows, Nich takes the I Adesha. So this is, instead of 6451, we have to 6455 now. So what we had Darshi Am Lit. So rather than taking Lopaha, we get the I Adesha, become Darshai Am Lit. Now at this point comes the special term, says Amaha. Look at the number, please. 74. I always say that. Don't just keep on blindly applying. Look at the number 2481. 2481. We have some friends over here. In 2481. We do have some friends because we have used this one. Jyotyadibhya shluho. We have used the Adipravritibhya shapaha. It's a look prakaranam. Anuvritti of look is coming down from here. Look is coming down from back here. Look. So this end of 2.4 is a look elision. Pratyas look shlu lupaha. the entire pratyaya text is elided. So amaha is coming in that section, which means that we must be doing a deletion of some pratyaya now. So what do they say? Amaha, very special sutram, simple sutram. It says ama parasya luksyat. Am parasya luksyat. So following an am, a pratyaya takes look. Pratyaya se luksyat. So what do you have right now? We have lit pratyaya following that. So when you darshay am lit by amaha, the lit takes look, it is elided. Pratyas lukshya lupaha. Now, what has happened? An interesting situation now. The lit pratyaya is the krit sanya by krudating. Krudating. Don't forget, we applied lit by parokshe lit. Parokshe lit, parokshe lit, parokshe lit. So 32115. Now, the adhikar of krudating, which we have studied, starts from 3193. So all the lakara, not only lit, but any lakara, lit, lut, lit, lut, lot, all of them have the sanya of krut until we get the adesh of tip, tasji, etc. Because krud ating, when you say bhu plus, for example, we say dhatu bhu plus lut. At that point, lut has the sanya of krut sanya. But when we say bhu plus tip, now because krud ating, the tip will not have krut sanya. The lut does have krut sanya. So does lit. So does lot. All of them have. But when you make the adesha by tip tasji 3478, krud ating, now the tip or tas or g, whatever it might be, they will not have the sanya of krut, because specifically Pani says krud ating. But in this case, what happened was that the lit pratyaya came before tip tas g could come. We did amaha look. So now what happened? We have a very strange situation now. This darshayam becomes a pratipadikam. By krut taita samasascha, pratyay lope pratyay lakshanam. Krut taita samasascha. So now we have a very strange situation now. We're going to have pratipadikam now. We start with a dhatu to make a tingantam rupam. We ended up with a pratipadikam, because we had a pratyaya am in between here, and then amaha luksyat, the lit took a look elision before tip tasji could come, and now because of pratyay lope pratyay lakshanam and kruttajita samasascha, this samudaya darshayam gets the pratipadika sanya. And now pratipadikam means we have to apply su avjas. There's no choice. Pratipadikam means we have to apply su avjas, the nominal endings. Sup ending has to come, because the sutram avjas, is a nitya karyam. There's nothing optional about it. There's nothing optional about it. It's nityam. So now we have to apply the pratyaya su as a default. Su in darshayam su. So this is, look at this now. We are doing thing in the prakaranam. We end up with the pratipadikam. We have pratipadikam. Because lit has krit sanya, and because amaha luksyat, we had no chance to bring tip tasji. So now, because of pratyay lakshanam, krutita samasascha, we got a pratipadikam here now. So darshayam is a pratipadikam. And we have to bring the pratyaya su now because of just 7412. Because look at the adhikara, nya pratipadikat. Nya pratipadikat su just. So su comes. And again by amaha, we do a look elision. So even the su is also gone by amaha. So one more time. We had darshayam lit. By amaha, the lit pratyaya to the look elision. But lit has a sanya of krut by krudating. And by pratyay lope pratyay lakshanam, krutita samasascha, we have to bring the pratyaya su now, because the pratipadika sanya now. Then we apply amaha again, because amapurasya luksyat, and we remove that su pratyaya and we get darshayam as a subantam padam. Now, today we have no time today, and maybe we'll do it in daily examples, but in the Kashika, he's taken a different method. In the Kashi, if you want to do some homework, in the Kashika, this is from Siddhanta Kaumudi. In the Kashika, in the old times, they regarded darshayam as an avyayam. So instead of using amaha second time, they used the avyadapsupaha, which is 2 for. If you want to look at the Kashika point of view, you can look at Kashika. According to Kashika, the darshayam is an avyayam. The problem there is that, how is it avyayam about sutram? It's an avyam by the sutram krunmejantaha. Krunmejantaha, which you said, krunmejantaha, right? So if we have a krut pratyaya ending in makara or an h, like kartum, drashtum, etc., then that will get the avyasanya. But now what do we have? We do have a makarantaha, but the krut pratyaya was lit was not makarantam. So the strange thing is that the darshayam is ending the krut pratyaya, but pratyaya lakshanam. It is makarantam also. But the krut pratyaya was not makarantam. So Siddhanta Kaumudi says that darshayam is not an avyayam. So the Kashika was saying that darshayam is an avyayam because ending in a makara, it's a krudantaha, so it's an avyayam. But the Siddhanta Kaumudi says no, because to use krunmejantaha, we have to have krut pratyaya ending in a makara. So the krut pratyaya was lit. Lit was not ending in makara. So to use krunmejantaha, technically speaking, we require a krut pratyaya to end in a makara, like tumun, like tum, or an h, ajantaha. What we have right now, we have darshayam. That is ending in a makara, but that makara is not from the krut pratyaya. So according to Siddhanta Kaumudi, darshayam is not an avyayam. So we cannot use avyayad apsupaha to remove the sup. According to Kashika, we use avyayad apsupaha. According to Siddhanta Kaumudi, we use amaha second time to remove the. So let's take the Siddhanta Kaumudi point of view. We use amaha second time to remove the supratyaya also. So amaha does two things. The sutram amaha, amaparasya looks yat. We remove not only the lit pratyaya, but also the supratyaya. So that is the Siddhanta point of view. So we'll take that. If you won't look at the Kashika point of view, you can look at it in the Kashika. Let's see if we can finish this form. Now what happens? We have darshayam. At this point comes the sutram. We say that 3140, because we use 3135 with the Vartikam. So there are these rules 3135, 36, 37, 38, 39, which prescribe the pratyaya am. And then 40 comes and says krunchanu prajate liti. Krunchanu prajate liti. So when the pratyaya am is used, then following that the kring is used. In anuprayujyate means that it is used after that with its own lit pratyaya. So this is the strange thing now. So this says amantat lit paraha kru bhuvastayaha anuprayujyante, which means that if you have amantam, which is in this case darshayam, then it will take either kru, bhu or as in anupraya as an auxiliary dhatu. But that kru, bhu or as will have its own lit pratyaya coming with it. That's mean anuprayogaha. Anuprayogaha means that when the amantam is there, following that we can use kru, bhu or as. We have to use kru, bhu or as with its own lit pratyaya. So what happens is that we get darshayam, and then darshayam comes with us comes after. In this case, we've taken the example of us with its lit pratyaya. This is called anuprayoga. This is what the name anuprayoga lit. Anuprayoga lit is there because we had a dhatu drish. We had dhatu darshi. Darshi. Put darshi am lit we made. Then we got lit. We got rid of the amaha. Then we made pratipadikam. We got the pratyaya su over there. Even su we used amaha second time. We got darshayam. Then we use this krunchanu prajate liti. So then we got the darshayam us plus a lit following the us also. And this us plus lit will follow its usual steps. This part will go to the usual abhyasa, etc. So there's no difference there. So in this anuprayogaha, there's no difference. So we just do the usual steps. We get the anubandha lopaha, pratyaya tip becomes null. These are all the usual steps. Anubandha lopa chutu halantyam. Then we do the abhyasa karyam before doing the atopadhayaha. So these are all the steps like we did in the I think we had a daily example, right? We had when we had the let me see, did we have an example for this? I thought we had one. Maybe we had one. Okay, I know we had. Anyway, we have done these steps many times before. So when we this in the anuprayogaha, this us will we take its own lit. We do the anubandha lopaha. Then between the pratyaya tip, tip tasji. The arm, this part stays constant. This part is finished. Darshayam is finished. There's no change to that. Only the second half now will take its lit anubandha lopaha, pratyaya tip, tip takes naladeshaha, anubandha lope akaraha, and then we get the abhyasa karyam as a. We do ata adehe because the adi akaraha in lit takes the dirgha adesha ata adehe. We already used that today also, ata adehe. So we make ata adehe, dirgha adesha, and then haladi sheshaha, then akasaman. Then we do the atopadhayaha, and we get darshayamasa. This form asa is nothing special. As plus lid is nothing special. We applied all the usual steps. Only thing we have to do is the ata adehe and the the atopadhayaha. So now this is when you use dhatu as. Now if you use the dhatu bhu, you get darshayam babhuva, you get darshayam chakara. Now what makes us think we can use kru, bhu and as, these three of them? Why not only kru? Because sutram only says krinchanu prayujyate liti. It says kri. Now how do we conclude this? It includes kru, bhu and as. How do we know that? The vritti says that amantat lit paraha kru, bhu astayaha, krubhastayaha. How do we get that meaning now? Okay, this is the law. This is, time's running out. So see if you can follow this today. We'll continue next time. We're going to see a sutram in the next class. We'll see a sutram which says that am pratyavat kriyonu prayogasya. When we see in the class next time, it says that when the dhatu kru only is used in anuprayogaha, the question comes that dhatu kru is ubhayapadi. So in anuprayoga, should a dhatu kru in anuprayoga, should it take parasmanepadam or atmanepadam? You can take both technically, depending on with where the fruit of the action is going. But the sutram says am pratyayavatta. So the dhatu to which am was added, whatever padam that has, atmanepadam, parasmanepadam, ubhayapadi, the same will apply to the kru dhatu in anuprayoga. One more time. We'll do this in the class next time again, is that am prakritya tulyam anuprayujyamanat kriyo api atmanepadam, which means that when you use a dhatu kru anuprayoga, it will take the same padam, means atmanepadam or parasmanepadam or ubhayapadi, depending on whatever the dhatu was to which the am was added. Okay. Now see if you can follow this logic now. Okay. In that sutram Pani says, which you see next time, am pratyayavat kriyo anuprayogasya. Now, see if you can follow his logic, okay? Pay attention for just 2 minutes now. If kru was the only dhatu to take in anuprayoga, there was no need to say kriya anuprayogasya. Panini could have said only am pratyayavat anuprayogasya. Instead, Panini says am pratyayavat kriya anuprayogasya. That means that there must be some other dhatus also which can be used anuprayoga. If kru was the only one, there was no need to say am pratyayavat kriya anuprayogasya. So one more time, in this sutra, which we see next time, Pani says that when the dhatu kru use anuprayoga, you take the same padam, means atmanepadam, parasmanepadam, as the dhatu to which am was added. The fact that Panini is saying the kriya in this dhatu, in this sutram, if kru was the only dhatu in anuprayoga, there was no need to say kriya. Panini could have simply said am pratyayavat anuprayogasya. That becomes a nyapakam that tells us that there must be some other dhatus also which can be used anuprayoga. That's why Panini is saying only kriya anuprayogasya. So he has to say kriya in the dhatu, in the sutram, I'm sorry. So that this becomes a nyapakam that in addition to kru, there must be some other dhatus being used anuprayoga. Otherwise, there's no need to say kriya in 1363. Now, what could those dhatus be? Because in this sutram here, he said that krinchanu prajutality, krinchanu cha anu prajutality. Now, which other dhatus can we get from this krin? The answer to that is that there is a section in the Ashtadhyayi from 5.4, in a completely unrelated section, completely different section of the Ashtadhyayi, where we can form pratyahara kri. From this 5450 abhuta tadbhave kubvasti yoge sampadikatri chvihi. This is a completely different topic. But there, this kru, starting from kru here, and in 5458 kriyaha, there is a pratyahara kri. Pratyahara means it's a mnemonic. It's a mnemonic kri. So that kri in 3140 is not the single dhatu dipkrin karane, which is a pratyahara kri, which includes kru, bhu and as, because kru, bhu, as. So one more time, this kriya which is used in 3140 is a pratyahara. It refers to the time from kru in 5450 up to the nyakaraha in 5458. It includes kru, bhu and as. How do we know that? Because as I told you in the Sutram 1363, Panini gives us the hint that only kru anuprayoga will be ampratyavat, which means there must be some others. And what others could they be? Look at the Ashtadhyayi and see if anywhere Panini, if he can form a pratyahara kri. The pratyahara kri can be formed in this manner by taking the kru from 5450 and going up to the nyakara in 5458, and that's how we get the kru, bhu and as. Okay, let's stop with that now. So next time for homework, if you can look at this, so we'll get a lot of practice now with this anuprayoga later in the next few weeks. So study the examples. We're going to be using these sutras. We're going to be using this vartikam, kasyane kacha amvaktavya. We use the sutram ayam mantal vayet vishnushu, thanks to Ravi. And then you're going to be using sutram amaha, and we use sutram krunchanuprajate liti. So we get some plans for homework. So this kri is the pratyahara kri. It includes kru, bhu and as. It's formed from the kru in 5440 up to the nyakara in 5458. And for homework, please take this sutram 3136 and also this 1363. Okay, again, thank you, Ravi. Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate, Ramam Ramesham Bhaje, Ramena Vihata Nishachara Chamu, Ramaya Tasmai Namaha, Rama Nasti Puranam Parataram, Ramasya Sosmyam, Rame Chittale Sada Bhautame Bhorama Mamudhara, Rama Rameti Rameti, Rame Rame Manorame, Sasanama Tatulyam, Rama Nama Varanane, Sri Rama Nama Varanana Onnamaiti. Again, this is January 28, Ashtavimshitamaha. Next class will be only second week of Feb, so that will be on Feb 11th. So this is the first part, Vyakarana Bhagaha. We'll come back in 15 minutes for the Ramayanam. So this was Jan 28, Vyakarana Bhagaha, Anuprayoga Lit. So next class on Feb 11th, we'll continue with this. Are we okay, Ravi?
Yes, sir.